So, hello, I'm just going to do a quick update on my aquaponics system since last time. I've added a floating shark with a thermometer attached to it so I can monitor the temperature. I added the glass cover, at least temporarily, while I was doing a little construction. I noticed there's water, a lot of water was splashing out, and then additionally I didn't want to get sawdust and stuff into the water if I could help it, so I put that on. Other than that, the primary addition is this deep water culture bed. It still needs a floating raft to go on top, and I might shorten the PVC to lower the water level by about an inch. I haven't decided yet or not, but you'll notice this board assembly around the top that's been cobbled together with very precise measurements, as you can see. Only missed by about an inch and a half. And the same in the back corner. It was a total hack, eyeballing and like holding things in place while marking the board with a pen that I was holding in my mouth because I didn't have three hands and things like that. Plus this nice blue, what I've decided to call structural masking tape. It's a very key part of my contraption. The plastic tank, when it was full of water, if you look over here, there's some little white spots. Those are where the plastic actually bent so far that it fatigued. It was bowed out really bad, and this piece of masking tape here is actually holding it back. It was bent so bad that there's like some permanent bend damage, so it doesn't even stay straight like it used to. On this side, you can see is still bowing just a bit, but that's okay. The water's pretty heavy and the plastic was cheap, so I think it was like $4 for the tub or something ridiculous. So I'm not complaining too much, but I had to reinforce it with something. I thought about doing PVC because I had a lot of PVC parts lying about, but I figured that maybe the PVC would bend too much, like that it wouldn't provide the support necessary. So I took these old, I think these were slats from a bed that held the mattress pad, or not the mattress pad, the box springs, on top of the frame of the bed or something like that. But Mom gave me the okay to confiscate them and use them for my purposes. Anyway, so I built this little simple ring out of wood and some wood screws that were laying about. And I think I need to build something to hold it up. I don't like the look of masking tape. My structural masking tape, I'm not sure is the right approach long term, but just to get things going, this is what I'm going with. So next step, I think, like I said, the mattress that the styrofoam that I've got is 2 inches thick, and so that'll put it literally up at the brim of the plastic tub, maybe even overhanging it just a little. And I'd like for it to, instead of overhang, just a little underhang just a little. So I'm considering pulling the top part off of this assembly and shortening those two pieces of PVC just a hair. But maybe not, I don't know. I'll have to see after I make a raft. But anyway, so this is collecting debris, which is awesome. But I think I need to put a little some kind of a net or debris catcher over that hole, the drain in the bottom, so that if there is anything that gets stuck in here, I can fish it out rather than have it float down into the fish tank and recirculate, or get worse, get caught and plug up this drain pipe apparatus. Oh, I guess I didn't explain that. This side, all this elaborate PVC, well, elaborate, it's not that elaborate, but this PVC system is just a pretty simple external drain pipe. I didn't want a drain pipe to be sticking up in the water. It would interfere with the raft. So Instead, I needed a drain pipe on the outside, and I wanted, rather than just like drain, like put a hole, put a hole here through the wall, and have the water just overflow into the pipe. I wanted to be able to literally drain the tank completely. So I added I did this. I wanted it to come out of the bottom, so the water comes out the bottom into here. Now this valve is currently closed. If I open it, it will allow me to drain the water from the bed, and in this case into the fish tank. I'm thinking I might put a screw-on adapter here, so that it instead of, or maybe even another T with a valve, so I can instead of draining it directly into the fish tank, I could drain it off to the side or something. But anyway, for now that works just fine. This part that goes up and around is just the standpipe. So the water level inside the tub here will be up to about the bottom of this piece of PVC pipe, because the water, once it gets up to this high, the water level inside the pipe will be that high as well, you can see, and then it'll drain across and then down and out. So with this valve closed, it keeps the water level up here. If I open it, it'll drain until it's almost complete, well, until the water gets to the height of the lip of this drain, which is about, a 1/4 of an inch. There's a washer, and then there's a 1/16 of an inch tall piece of plastic that is the top of the drain plug, or drain thing there. So I'm thinking I might also want to get a plug, so I can put a plug inside that drain, and then be able to pull this whole PVC apparatus off if I need to do maintenance or modify the design, because modifying it in place is actually kind of tricky. I saw online, you might notice that there's some screws here, and that's a little bit bizarre. People don't normally drill holes in PVC and put screws into them, but since I'm really just prototyping at this point, seeing what works and what doesn't, there's a good chance that I'm gonna take these, the pipe itself is really pretty cheap. You get like 10 feet for a couple bucks, and then you cut off what you need and whatnot. But these individual fittings range from 50 cents to $1.50 a piece, and since I'm just prototyping, it'd be nice to be able to reuse them. And this one guy on YouTube, I think Bob's Backyard Aquaponics or something, a really smart and friendly and well experienced Aussie aquaponics gardener, said that, or mentioned that if you just wrap the pipe, rather than gluing them together, which would make this virtually permanent, you can wrap the pipe with some Teflon tape, and then put a little stainless steel screw, drive it through, and then there won't be, because of the Teflon tape, there will be still a pretty reasonable seal inside, and so there won't be noticeable, or at least not anything awful in terms of leaks. So and then this way you can then reuse all of these 50-cent fittings, which is nice. Especially, this valve was something like, I don't know, like $3 or $4 at the hardware store. There's probably a way to get them cheaper somewhere, but I just bought them at a local home improvement store. And anyway, so there's a screw. Like I said, put them underneath. There's one here and one there. And it turns out, actually, that I think I did a bad job with the Teflon tape on this side of this valve, because there's a very slow leak. It's enough to keep the wood of the patio, of the deck here, damp. So I need to probably put a drip tray out here, at least for now, and then at some point I'll pull this whole thing off and see if I can fix that leak. But everything else seems to be not leaking at all, which is really great news. I had one fitting that was leaking a little right here, and I just did a really piss poor job with the Teflon tape around that edge. And so once I fix that, it's not draining at all. So all things considered, I'm pretty happy with this design and with how it's gone together. though I have decided that I'm going to stop using these cheap plastic tubs altogether. They have no structural integrity, and when you're putting water, multiple gallons of water in them, that's enough weight that they just can't handle it. And so I end up having to build this wood frame, and if I'm going to do that, then I might as well make a liner-based wood-framed tub from the get-go, or I'd have to buy some much sturdier tubs, which I think defeats the purpose. So I think I've got my prototype flood drain bed in that green tub, and I've got my prototype deep water culture tub here, and I think from here on out I will not be using these plastic tubs because it's just not worth it. So anyway, that's it for my update. I've been checking my water nitrate, ammonia, nitrate, and nitrite levels every day or maybe 2 days, and so far I have no noticeable decline in my ammonia levels, and not any no trace of any nitrites, and no trace of any nitrates. So that means that I guess we're 10 or so days in. My system is not, finished, or it hasn't even really begun growing enough bacteria to do that. But hopefully those little guys are in there fighting and breeding, and as soon as they get a foothold, they should start increasing exponentially, and then we'll see some real gains at that point. So I guess it's just kind of wait and see at this point. Hopefully in a week or two I'll start noticing a change. If I don't, I might have to start doing some research and checking out to see if there's something that I'm doing wrong. My pH is about 8.0, which is a bit high, but the pH coming out of the tap just happens to be pretty high here. I removed all of the chlorine and chloramine. That stuff's all gone. I use little test strips, and there's no trace of those in the water here. I do need to, I've noticed that there's some algae, some sliminess, green sliminess growing on the pump down there. And that's not surprising at all. Algae, when given a big tank of water and plenty of sunlight, will grow. I've bought some poster board, and I'm gonna just kind of plaster it around the sides and back of the tank, and then maybe drape something over the top and front for just the day-to-day, at least certainly for now. Once I have fish in there, I'll have to decide if I need to buy an algae-eating fish or something like that. But that's all to decide in the future. I just don't want algae to get too crazy in there before things are even going at all. I'd be afraid that might impact some of my nitrate and nitrite levels as they consume them. So anyway, that's my update. After I built this thing, I hadn't really thought it through very well. There's nothing attaching this apparatus to anything except this fitting down here clamped onto this kind of flimsy plastic tub. So yeah, and this isn't terribly heavy, the PVC apparatus. It doesn't weigh very much, but if you've taken physics, or even if you haven't, the further out an arm, a lever arm gets, the more torque is placed on something. You might have heard the word torque. So if this little guy right here is holding this whole thing up, and this is 15 inches or something like that, then weight, heavy or not, there's going to be quite a bit of stress put down here on this on this plastic lining of this tub. So to hold it up at least a little bit, I was originally using a little bit of structural masking tape, but obviously I had to remove that while I was constructing my my bow reduction wooden apparatus up here. But the plastic tubing, so it was held up here, but I've added some, I screwed in a couple little screws into the wood here and tied a piece of string to it, and then put just a little taut line, it's like 3/2 inches in this string, so I can adjust. And in fact, I tied this one wrong. It slips wrong, but I was too frustrated with it. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. That one's actually a proper 3 taut line, I guess is what we called it in Scouts. It's basically 2/2 inches on one side and then a 1/2 inch on the other. And then it can slip up and down on this line, and then it won't unslip. But you'll notice all of the weight is back here on this side, and there's really none up here. Just kind of the way things are angled. I need to maybe add something to hold this up, to hold this apparatus up here, to attach it to the tub maybe. Or if I mount this wood thing to the table instead of sticking it onto the top of the ring with masking tape, then I can use that as structural integrity and hold this up on that guy. But again, this is just a prototype. I'm not too worried about it. I think long term this tub's not going to work out, and it's going to have to be replaced in the next year or two, regardless of what happens. I'm just not satisfied with how durable they are. So, but I think for my purposes now, I can probably grow some lettuce and some mint in this bad boy once I start getting everything rolling with the bacteria. So yeah, next step, like I said, put some sunlight reduction paper on this tank so the algae doesn't get out of control. And then I guess I mostly will be twiddling my thumbs and waiting for the bacteria to grow. Once they're grown, I'll go to the fish store with the nieces and nephews and pick out some fish and get them set up. Once the fish seem happy and all of my levels look adequate, I'll start planting some things. I think the deep water culture bed's going to get a cucumber back here probably, and maybe a jalapeno or something here. And I haven't decided, maybe another large plant here. I'm not sure. And then I think I'm going to sprinkle a couple radishes and carrots around just to see how they do. And then on this guy, I'm thinking I can probably plant 6 leafy greens. I haven't done any math, but that seems like a pretty appropriate amount of space. So some butter lettuce and I don't know, maybe romaine. I'll try romaine. And then I want to plant the mint plant because I like mint tea quite a bit. I want to see how that goes. Maybe some spinach. But yeah, I'll have to build the raft and then buy some net pods, I think is what they're called. Little porous, like it's like a plastic bucket, but it's got it's very porous. It's got the big gaps for. It's not intended to do to prevent water from getting in and out at all. And so then I'll grow some little seedlings inside some rock wool, and then just transplant that straight into this bed inside the rock wool in the net pods, and then they should take off, hopefully, and we'll see how that goes. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the future. I'm hoping my structural masking tape holds on for a little while till I decide what I'm going to do about putting this thing up. It might be that just the friction of the tub pushing on the wood because of the weight of the water might be enough to hold it up. But if it falls down, then of course it does absolutely no good. So it just sits there on the table looking ugly. So I need to figure that out. But yeah, that's it.